Is Season 3 shaping up to be the beginning of a comeback for Battlefield 6? Well, let's discuss. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about all the good stuff that DICE has been announcing recently having to do with vehicles, having to do with the changes that are going to be coming in Season 3, and we haven't even had the patch notes come out yet, which will surely have way more details. But even before we learn about everything, it's already sounding pretty damn good. And a lot of the stuff they're mentioning, this stuff isn't small. They're chipping away at pretty large gameplay issues bit by bit. And I've been stating for the longest time, Battlefield 6 can be vastly improved in only about 4 or 5 patches if DICE really locks in. And I don't know, guys, it looks to me like DICE might be locking in a little bit, even though they suffered a bunch of layoffs. And I imagine the morale inside of the studio isn't exactly the best due to other events. So in this video, we're going to round up all of the great things coming in Season 3, and then I wanted to pose a question to you guys. What would Battlefield 6 have to do in order for you to see it as like a big Battlefield 4 comeback moment? Is it one thing in particular, or is it going to be a lot of things over a long period of time? So let's get right into it. If you enjoy the channel, if you find these videos informative, be sure to hit the like button, hit the sub button, and of course, let me know your thoughts about all this stuff in the comment section. If you've never swung by a stream, that link is in the description, along with the link for my second channel. So be sure to check that out as well. So number one, I just want to cover the first community update post they actually put out. The big ticket items here are really some very long overdue gameplay changes when it comes to some aspects of the gunplay and some gadgets. So first of all, they were increasing recoil variance and recoil amount for pretty much every weapon in the game, aside from a select few, based on data mined data posted by Temporal. It's been no secret that on this channel, I've criticized the gunplay of this game just for being too damn easy. I mean, it's kind of just a joke. Laser beam gunplay, there really isn't much recoil. Spread doesn't really seem to matter. I see them increasing the recoil on a lot of weapons in the game as sort of step one in what it will take for them to really fix or improve the gunplay of Battlefield 6. And the reason why I say it's step one is there are going to have to be further updates to the gunplay in order to get it to a sort of a dream ideal situation. They're going to have to make burst firing matter more, which means reworking some of the more complicated, underlying mechanics. Whether or not they will be willing to do that, I have no idea. Obviously, we'll have to wait and see. But it's really good to see them finally increase recoil on a lot of weapons. And the other big thing regarding recoil is they are nerfing the controller recoil reduction benefit. They're reducing it from 22% all the way down to 11%. And all that is really going to do for controller players is it's just going to bring the two inputs in line a little bit. The controller recoil reduction was kind of insane. It basically gave you a 35-point recoil grip for free, which allowed some controller players to run completely different weapon setups when compared to what players on mouse and keyboard were using. And to be honest, this recoil thing for controller does increase the controller skill gap, so the people that were getting carried by the recoil reduction will suffer the most, while the people that really didn't benefit from it at all will just continue to play the exact same way. In other words, the players that are going to be able to adapt are simply going to do that, and the players that were getting carried by a game mechanic, well, you're going to have to change your weapon setups. One of the smaller things they did in this community update was they made some changes to mortars, and if you've played Battlefield 6, especially Breakthrough, after they allowed mortars to be placed in the uncap, you will notice that a lot of people literally do just camp on a mortar in the fucking uncap and spam mortars to their heart's content. The change they're going to be making in Season 3 is they're basically going to be forcing mortar players to move up a little bit closer to the action if they want their mortars to hit accurately, which is great because it disincentivizes mortars from just being in the back of the spawn. Now, the next community update they put out had a completely different focus. This time, it actually mentioned a ton of vehicle changes. Now, I have separate videos for all of these things, but I'm just going to go through a quick summary of what they did. First of all, they made a ton of changes to how repairs will actually interact with vehicles. So there's going to be an optimal amount of engineers to have on a tank because of diminishing returns when it comes to the amount of people you have repairing a single vehicle. They increased the amount of RPGs some of these vehicles are going to be able to tank. I actually think this update is going to be removing the infantry player's ability to two-shot a tank in the ass with an RPG, which is extremely controversial, but even though I think that's a really bad idea, I'm going to try to give it a chance just to see if it is different in Battlefield 6 somehow. Maybe it won't be as annoying as I think it will be. On top of that, they're making sure that just a bunch of countermeasures are way more reliable. They are adding damage to this smoke countermeasure. They're making sure flares are more consistent. They removed some vehicle health brackets, which, in their words, are going to make vehicle gameplay a little bit more predictable. You're going to be able to understand the vehicle's health a little bit better and how many hits that vehicle is going to be able to take. And they had a big focus on vehicle handling, particularly this time around at least, for land vehicles. Those changes I just mentioned are just some of the highlights. There's an entire 20-minute video I made about both of these community posts. I'll link both of them in the description. There are many, many more things from where that came from. Now let's get into the big question here. Does this mark the start of Battlefield 6's potential comeback? You know, there wasn't really much going on with Season 2 and Season 1. I feel like a lot of people feel the same way. It kind of feels like DICE was sitting on their hands a bit. They keep mentioning iterating. They keep mentioning testing, which is great for the changes that come out of all that testing. However, what that means for people is it's just going to take a lot longer to actually improve the game. And I think we're actually seeing the fruits of that testing with some of the changes in Season 3, finally. Battlefield 6 was never going to be a fast fix. This game is always going to be a slow burn, unfortunately, just because of the nature of the issues. A lot of testing does have to happen. We don't want to have a Battlefield 5 situation where a patch like 5.2 releases that completely destroys the time to kill of the game. And I think DICE knows that they simply can't afford to do that with Battlefield 6. So I think if they can keep this up throughout Season 3, Season 4, and Season 5, we could be playing a completely different game by the end of Season 5. And I'm talking about, maybe unrecognizable and for the better in that way. Especially because early on in Season 3, right at the start of the season, they're focusing on gameplay elements, which I have been pushing for since the launch of the game. If you really want Battlefield 6 to reach its potential, you have to improve the gameplay and you have to fix some of the weird shit that's going on. And with the Season 3 initial update, they're starting to just chip away at some of the biggest gameplay concerns, and I think if they just keep that up, I mean, Battlefield 6 could very quickly become one of the best Battlefield titles ever released. But, they have to deliver. That's the big caveat here. So I think it's a really interesting conversation. I'm very curious to know your guys' thoughts and opinions on this. If you enjoyed the channel, be sure to hit the like button, hit the sub button, and let me know what you think about all this stuff. Check out the second channel. That link will be in the description and the pinned comment. And guys, if you didn't know, all of my YouTube content is now also on Spotify. Just another option for you guys to enjoy my content if you so wish. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.